it will put you on your knees, a diagnosis like that.
You were in crisis. What was the number one fear that kept you up at
My
night?
husband was diagnosed 8 months after I had sold my company. The reason I picked nutrition to support my husband was because that was the only thing.
What's the hardest truth you had to face when everything fell out of
I
control?
said to God, I want you to use me.
I normally spray the perfume like this.
Oh, and that's horrible because it's right near your thyroid and all of your lymph nodes.
Oh my gosh. If someone's world is falling apart, what's the first thing you tell them to do? Welcome. This is Arlyn Broche. And this space is about depth, it's about truth, and it's about the stories that we don't always say out loud, but they live inside of us. And talking about true stories, she's come here today not to talk theory. She's lived it. When her husband got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, she had to learn really quickly that nutrition wasn't just about food. It was about survival, strength, and healing. And today I am so excited to have a conversation with Liz Nieves, nutritional therapy practitioner.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure, but thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So I want to first, say that you look stunning.
Likewise.
And wow, what a story. When I learned about your story about your husband and how he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, it really was such an inspiring story because you were in fashion before.
Correct. That's right. I was a fashion
can you
designer
tell me
for
a little
24
bit?
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your history so that whoever's listening can understand how you had to pivot and change and that's in and of itself, that's such an inspiring move.
So I guess the way that I think about it now is I'm actually going to take you back a little bit further. When I was 12 years old, I used to live in a small little efficiency with my grandmother and my mom. I'm Cuban, born there,
Wow.
immigrated here. And we lived in a tiny efficiency. And I would go to bed and picture myself speaking on large stages. And I would see hundreds and thousands of people in front of me. And I thought, oh, that's what doctors do. So I'm going to become a doctor. And then fast forward, when I start the university, I get into FIU. And I wanted to study medicine. My mom suffered a heart attack when I was 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I became head of house because I'm an only child from a single mom.
And this was at what age?
I was 20. And I had to stop going to school and started my own business. And I started a small cut and sew and I was doing costumes and outfits for you name it, whether it was prom dresses, whether it was wedding dresses or wedding for the court. I was doing costumes for dancers, and then little by little, and that's how we were paying the bills because my mom was not working.
You're the advisor, the senior advisor for different fashion companies, right? Or were?
So now it's kind of changed a little bit and it morphed because I did sell my company. I was a starving artist for many years. Then started taking, when you're an artist like that, and I was just doing stuff to make money, you don't really know business. So I taught myself business through this experience in School of Hard Knocks, but then I started taking courses like with Tony Robbins and, all these kinds of business courses, and I was able to sell my business in 2022. Anyways, I then started in 2020. I was fortunate enough to have the time, because of what happened with COVID, to start consulting. And so I do consult now. I still kind of do that on the side. I consult for companies that want to add an apparel to their actual brand, so to speak. And they need to know everything that requires production, because my specialty, not just as a fashion designer, I know from A to Z of anything in the manufacturing space.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
because I did it
amazing.
all. I did every single position I ever hired
And so
for.
when you had to pivot, like your husband got diagnosed with stage 4, was it, you said pancreatic?
No, thank God, no. So no, it's actually gastric. So when I sold my business in 2022, I did so to honor that little girl's dream,
Oh, wow.
my 12-year-old self, to become a speaker and a writer. And I did that in March of 2022.
This was before your husband was diagnosed?
Before he was diagnosed.
Oh, my gosh.
I did that to honor that girl, and I did so to become a speaker in the mind, body, and spirit wellness section, because that's always been my jam. I originally wanted to be a doctor.
It was your calling.
It's always been my calling. And even though I was
wow.
good at what I did for a living for 24 years, I feel like this is my zone of genius. That was maybe my zone of excellence kind of thing. And God had plans for me, obviously. My husband was diagnosed 8 months after I had sold my company. So I had to, once again, halt everything. I had to stop everything that I wanted to do. Same thing that happened with my mom when I was 20. The same thing happened at 40, whatever that was, 47 or 46. And so quickly I realized that conventional care had tools. Integrative care had a lot of tools. Together we meshed those two types of worlds in order to get him, because his diagnosis was very bleak. It was stage 4 appendiceal adenocarcinoma. It's a very rare type of gastric cancer that really has no cure. The chemo that they gave him was for colon cancer. And so I understood very quickly that we needed to utilize all the tools available to us. However, no one offered nutrition on the day-to-day. And part of what happens too when you're diagnosed with a disease of any disease, but especially something like cancer, you lose all control. All certainty goes away.
That's incredible. It's incredible that you had that happen to you. And what is, you know what I realized? I realized that you have so much knowledge when it comes to nutrition. And nutrition is such an important part. It's like medicine.
It is.
It's medicine.
100%. And that's exactly what I like to tell my clients now. And that's exactly what I teach. I teach it how, because it's information that goes into your body.
And it's integrative, right? And you said integrative medicine?
Integrative, correct.
Integrative.
Yeah, integrative nutrition. So that means that we implement a lot of like detox things, and we obviously supplementation. So my program, the program that I have is called DINE, which is detox, intake, optimization, nutrition, and emotional and mental wellness.
What's the number one mistake that people make when life gets hard and they turn to food?
So I feel that one of the main things that I see happen is everybody is there's an overflow of information. So you get a lot of information from Instagram and then like newsletters, right? So people are like, wait a second, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know which way to go, because this guy says eat more protein, but then they tell you that you also need carbs, but then I need to, that how does that pair up with what I work out? So people end up being so overwhelmed that they become what I call possum. They end up just freezing and then not doing anything and reverting back to what they know and what they're used to doing. And then that's why they feel that they don't get anywhere. So I think I'm going to tell you first from my experience what I did, mainly when we went through the cancer, because I had that overwhelm with a cancer diagnosis that we were facing, right? So that's different than I just want to get thinner and I just want to look good for my wedding, or I need to lose 5 pounds, right? It's a little bit different. With that being said, is that it is important to number one, find someone that is knowledgeable, that's maybe a practitioner that understands your case and your health goals and your health concerns. That to me is the number one thing, because now you're not just hodgepodging it off of Instagram. Yeah. So that's number one. Number two, really get an understanding have some labs and testing done. I think that's super important, because that's data. And data allows you to now make informed decisions. So I think that's number two. And I would say number three is have a good relationship with food. And that's the hardest part of that whole equation.
So when you were in crisis, what was the number one fear that kept you up at night?
That he would die and my kids would not have a father, and my daughter would not have a father to walk her down the aisle. You're going to make me cry.
You're gonna make me cry. No, I feel like, it's really difficult when you go through these life transitions, right? And so I understand that there's a certain level of strength that you need. Do you need a tissue? Can we get a tissue?
There goes the makeup. Man, you got me quick. Diet girl.
I wanted to ask you another question, but I was
you went right at it.
No,
Okay.
No, it's just,
I love you for it. I don't do it any other way, Mama. I hate superficial crap. That's why I think I've started to like you so much.
So
Perfect. That was a hard one right there. You hit the spot.
How do you help someone So when you feel like you're falling apart, how do you help someone else? Like what is it that where do you pull your strength from?
Wow, that's actually an amazing question because my main program is for cancer patients going through treatment and helping them with their nutrition, and it's literally massive PTSD all day, every day for me. And it's hard, and yes, it's extremely draining. That's why I take clients that don't have cancer as well, because it's more enjoyable in terms of like it's easier and a little bit more uplifting. And not as
In
emotional
that
for
case,
me.
it's preventative when you take
Exactly. Or people that just have different health goals, that they want to lose weight, or they want to just, for longevity, that, you're not in a pressure cooker, so to speak. Honestly, prayer.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah. So I turn to God constantly to give me the strength, even the words to speak to the people that I'm helping, because I need it to be God speaking to them, not me.
Absolutely.
I look for joy. So I'm very, very particular about the people I give my time to. So people that I enjoy time with. Obviously, my family is a huge source of comfort and just joy for me. My children, I basically turn into one of them when I'm with them for the most part, unless I'm teaching them something or complaining about something. But other than that, and then I love nature. So those are the ways that I kind of plug in order to continue what I'm doing, because the work that I'm doing, I think, is God put me here to do it. God saved him for a purpose, and I feel responsible for that.
That's amazing. So, what do you think that's one thing that people can do to support their body under stress? What's a practical thing people can do to support their body under stress?
Okay, so if you ask me if it's one thing that you're asking for, then I'm going to say sleep. Sleep is the most critical thing that we can do. You can actually go without food for 20 something days and make it where you cannot go for more than 3-4 days without any sleep. So sleep is when your body replenishes, regenerates, it detoxes. It's a lot of hormones are released when we're sleeping that help the body heal. And so that's probably the most critical thing we can do. I would say hydration. That's a big one as well. And then more so than food is stress. Stress, believe it or not, food comes later. So stress is the other one, is mitigate stress. Stress is inevitable, but it's how we deal with stress that's the most important part. And the tools that we need to learn, and most of us don't know that.
The hours of sleep that someone should get every night is minimum.
Well, I think everybody's different. However, it's because it also has to do with restorative sleep, like how well you're going into these cycles of sleep. But overall, the majority, to say the normal curve, you want to get anywhere between 7 to 8 hours of sleep, ideally. For children, it's a little bit different, but for the average adult, that's what we're looking at. Yeah.
Okay. So right now, you feel like you do have like a regular sleep schedule?
Oh, you're talking about me
I have not. I see you sometimes at 4 or 5 in the morning, girl. You're up working out. I'm like, she is strong. I don't know how you do it.
Well, I do have a crazy amount of energy, and it's
I can tell.
a lot of it is because I do. The biggest thing I actually teach is how to support your body for the phase of life that you're in and what you do every single day. And I do that with food. But yes, on the sleep part, I will normally get anywhere between 6 to 7, 8 on the weekends, because I do that on purpose. During the week, it's definitely harder because of the phase of life that I'm in. So then I do other things to support for the 1 or 2 hours that I don't get.
I think your story is fascinating, and it really inspired me when I first met you and you told me about your story and how you had to pivot and like that. I can't get over it because, right, we always have to pivot and change and fluctuate. And I want to know, what was the hardest truth you had to face when everything fell out of control?
It's a really amazing question. And I'm going to have to go on spiritual part for that. It's not a day-to-day thing. It's not an actual physical thing. Or number one, I had to come to terms with the lack of faith that I had.
Oh, wow.
Lack of practice and communication with God. I thought I was like, oh, I'm going to say my Hail Mary and my Our Father, and I'm good, and then I'll talk to God whenever I have time, kind of thing. And that was the first thing that I was like, it was like getting your legs chopped off and your arms taken away. And so now the one thing that I've always said about this is that it will put you on your knees, a diagnosis like that. And I had to learn how to surrender. I had a connotation or an understanding of surrender as weakness because I have always been like an alpha female. Yeah. I've always been a provider, and that didn't fit in my paradigm. And so God was like, okay, you want to do this, let's do it. And it's interesting, Arlyn, when I sold my business, I remember being at Mass, that I had gone to Mass like on a holiday. I forgot if it was Easter. I think it was Easter. And I remember I said to God, God, I want you to use me. I want to give my life to you, and I want you to use me. My husband was diagnosed 8 months later.
Oh my gosh. He humbled you really quickly.
Really quickly, because he said, you want to be with me? Then I have got to take away the pride, that resentment, the one that you think you can count on yourself all the time and that you don't need any man. Or that, because to me also too, God is a man and I never had a father. That was a very hard thing for me to ask. I don't ask men for help. Wow. I don't, because I didn't grow up with a dad. Wow. So I've gone through quite a journey, emotionally and mentally, and spiritually. And so, yeah, surrender was the biggest thing I had to learn.
When did you realize that you couldn't fix everything, and how did you move forward from that moment?
So at the beginning, it was getting hit by a train and landing 3,000 miles away from home. And the first thing you want to do is come back home to the things that are safe and the things that you know. But I would say about 3 months into like seeing doctors and the surgeries and really getting a feel for what was really going, like when the dust settled and you're like, oh my God, this is real, what we're facing, was really understanding that I couldn't control anything. And the reason I picked nutrition to support my husband was because that was the only thing I could manage. Wasn't even control, but I could manage the day-to-day for his energy levels, for how much hydration he had. So that actually gave us a little bit of power back. And that's really why I chose nutrition, not because I ever thought I'd turn it into a career.
Wow.
Yeah. It was all to gain some of that control back.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because most people can't even do that in their day-to-day discipline, like to lose weight or whatever. And it was just like the pressure was applied and you stood up to the plate.
Well, I've said this to my husband, and I said, God prepared me for your cancer since I was little. Since I was little, I've been dealing with so much adversity and things of like, I've always said, I'm not the girl that you call to chit chat every single day and talk about boberías or gossip or things like that. I'm the girl you call
for the hard stuff.
For the hard stuff, yeah.
That's the kind of girl you want on your team.
Yeah, I'm that person. But call me for fun things too, okay? So yeah. I've started to add that back into my life. So please, like if you're going out on the boat, call me.
Okay.
You can call me too. For God's sake.
So what's one belief about food and health that you had to let go of to truly heal?
That you have to get it all right all the time, because that becomes very stressful. Mm-hmm. And that's why people do these diet. They can't sustain any diet because they're so restrictive. That's why dieting is so unhealthy and not sustainable. These things are very restrictive. There's no joy. So part of what I teach is about having this positive, joyful relationship with food. Who the hell wants to be miserable?
And guilty. We always feel guilty. Like if I go out and I have pizza and if I'm just like, oh my gosh, why did I do this? But it's like, why?
Exactly. So it's knowing, basically what I teach is tools that you have in a big, large toolbox. And then you know how to use them and when to use them. So that you can and it takes some time to do that. And a lot of it is reframing a lot of the belief systems that we have with food and establishing new ones that now you have a joyful life, because life should be about joy. We should not be living in misery, and we should not be living in what I like to say is I'm saying it in Spanish, escasez.
Oh, okay.
Right? So in scarcity. Yeah. So people are either they're in scarcity mode when they're eating, or they're over. Right? It's always like this up and down relationship. It's not a flow.
I heard you say the other day about salt baths. And I thought it was fascinating because you talked about doing salt baths to open up the body, to do like liver cleanses and just different things. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I feel like that's such a fascinating topic because I had no idea that that was something that was in, you know.
Yeah, you could do at home kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly.
So one of the things that I like to implement with, especially with cancer patients and even non-cancer patients, is detox baths. Today we live
detox baths.
Baths, yes.
And so what are we talking about? Like, what do we do with a detox bath? Like, what is it?
Well, you chant around the bath. No.
No. So like magnesium, what are the
Yes, so it's bentonite clay, Epsom salt.
What is it?
Bentonite clay.
Bentonite clay,
Epsom salt.
Epsom salt,
and sodium bicarbonate.
Wow.
So
and you can get this what, like Whole Foods, Publix?
You can order it on Amazon. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically there's an actual, measurement to the three things. You put it in a relatively warm bath, not super, super hot, but enough where your pores are opened. And you sit in there for about 20 to 30 minutes. And it helps. We live in an environment today that we are exposed to so many toxins, right? So it helps pull like heavy metals out of our bodies. It helps detox from even just the perfumes that we're putting on in our bodies. Those are endocrine disruptors, certain deodorants.
I normally spray the perfume like this.
I know, and that's horrible because it's right near your thyroid and all of your lymph nodes.
Oh my gosh.
I know, and this one
too. Every time I do it now, I'm like...
I know, I'm totally going to ruin it for you. Don't worry, I ruined it for myself.
No.
So now I just like spray and I walk into it, but there's also different perfumes that are a little bit less toxic. So like I said, you've got to mitigate life, right? Like if you are going to wear these perfumes, do some of the detox baths, do other things that are going to balance life out because, most people are like, I am not going to stop wearing perfume.
So you do this detox bath, what, like 5 days a week? Like
No. So for cancer patients, I do, especially going through chemo, I do recommend them at least 4 times a week for sure, without a doubt.
And for non-cancer patients?
You could do it like once or twice a month if you want.
And then you do that and it opens you up. And if you want to do like a cleanse or a fast or...
Right. So fast is a whole different conversation. But it starts to help open pathways and help with the detoxing in order to prepare clients for other types of detoxes that we'll do, like liver cleanses, things like that.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I keep wanting to gravitate to these questions because I feel like I'm a very deep person and I love to understand like, the part of the soul and the evolution of the soul. What would you say if someone's world is falling apart, what's the first thing you tell them to do before anything else?
Pray. I don't even have to think about that. Just you pray. You get on your knees. You pray, let him answer you. Because we just don't know what we don't know. And it takes time to learn new things. In the meantime, you've got to hold on to something. You need that safety net. You need somebody to grab onto, and what better than our Lord and Savior. And he will guide you. Trust me. There's not a moment he has not answered every single one of my questions and every single one of my prayers.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that you say that because I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there like one advice that you'd give people that are starting on a nutrition, to have a better relationship with nutrition, to have a better relationship with food? Someone's starting out, like they feel overweight, they don't want to, they want to just start out and have a healthier lifestyle.
Not because I'm a practitioner, but I think aligning yourself with like if you have a life coach or like a practitioner that really knows what they're doing and somebody that understands you, because it needs to be a bio-individual program. For example, when a client comes to me, I don't give them the program that I gave to someone else. It's bio-individual to them, their health goals and their health needs, right? So that I think helps you kind of shorten that crazy path of looking, kind of like the school of hard knocks, that you're going to be on a path that's going to get you from A to Z a lot quicker. I would think that's the first thing. The other thing is really sit with yourself and be honest. A lot of people don't necessarily want to give up comforts that they have because they have this relationship with food and they don't want to stop having their coffee first thing in the morning before they eat breakfast. They don't want to lose that. They don't want to not have
So you're saying have breakfast and then have your coffee.
Correct. They
Why?
don't want to give
And
up
why not the
liquor.
other way
That's
around?
a big one.
Yeah.
It's a big one for people. They're like, well, that's how I unwind. I have some drinks and I unwind and I relax. Well, in reality, you're not relaxing. You're creating inflammation in the body. You're also killing all of your good gut bacteria and allowing for bad gut bacteria to thrive. So what you think you're doing, you're not doing at all. So that has to be a mind shift that has to come from awareness and really ownership and responsibility and I think love of yourself. And loving yourself and knowing that you're worth more than that. You're worth more than those drinks and that there's many other ways to relax and unwind.
I want to ask you a question.
Oh boy.
What, another question, because I've asked you several already. And first I want to thank you for coming.
Yeah.
What is the purpose that you think you were put on this earth for?
Man, I've asked that question so many times. And here's what I've gotten back from when I've asked him is that I'm not here for whatever I think I'm here for. I'm here every single day to channel love and kindness to this world, to show people and bring people closer to him. It's not my profession. It's not even me being a mother. It's solely to honor him and get more people closer to him. How I do that on a daily basis could be through my job. It could be through opening a door for someone, to smiling to people, at the gym and being joyful and a word of comfort when someone needs it. That's what I know I'm here for. The rest is just...
That was impactful. You hit it right on the nose for me, because I can relate to that. Thank you so much for today. And I'm sure so many people are going to benefit from listening to your tips and to your pearls of wisdom.
Thank you, honey. Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this. So I'm very proud of you. I think you're so beautiful.
Thank you.
Like inside and out from the short period of time that I've known you. So I want to see this grow as big as you want it to and as big as the Lord wants it to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.